Greetings. Since early childhood, I have been very active for my work in environment and humanity. When I was in school, my parents used to take me to villages and forest where my love and affection for wild animals and environment grew. We have worked with a lot of tribal communities and Adivasis in Madhya Pradesh, Andaman and Nicobar Islands, even in Sri Lanka. And from them, I understood and learned the interdependency of wild animals and humans. When I was in school, I designed, constructed and donated fiberglass saucer-shaped water tanks to the Forest Department of Maharashtra to quench the thirst of wild animals during the scorching summer months. I also shelled my entire pocket money to construct water catchment dams in Navegaon forest of Maharashtra. When I was in high school in United States of America, I did a fundraising for providing clean drinking water for Haiti earthquake victims and their refugees. When I was an intern, a MBBS intern in Government Medical College in Nagpur, I was juggling with my duties and my studies for post-graduation exams. That's when I read about a sub-adult tigress, T27C1, who was living in the fringes of forest or fragmented forests of Maharashtra state. Due to two chance encounters, she was labeled as a man-eater, and a shoot-at-sight order was issued to eliminate her. I was very moved by this news and I wanted to protect this tigress. So I decided to challenge this shoot-at-sight order. I approached a lawyer, Mr. Tushar Mandlekar, in my town, and I briefed him about this case. This tigress was just a sub-adult tigress and had not even reached her reproductive age. She could give birth to many cubs which would move freely in the wild. So we both drafted and filed a petition which was a very comprehensive public interest litigation. I challenged this shoot-at-sight order and objected on private hunters being appointed to gun down this national animal. I also prayed to the Honorable Court that this tigress be tranquilized and relocated to a newer zone or a safer zone. I prayed that all the tigers in the wild be radio collared for better monitoring. And I also objected on tendu patta or tobacco leaf collectors entering into restricted areas of the forest. We filed this case in the Honorable Bombay High Court of Nagpur bench. And within 20 hours of filing this case, the shoot-at-sight orders were set aside. Consecutively, I challenged 3 shoot-at-sight orders for the same tigress. I named this sub-adult tigress as Kismat, which means fate. During the third shoot-at-sight order and the legal battle, she was mysteriously electrocuted or poached. So I went to the ground zero to witness the post-mortem, but I was attacked by a mob of almost 300 villagers and I survived that mob lynching. I lost Kismat due to electrocution, but then I started a signature campaign, Speak Up Now, in which we gathered signatures to point out these arbitrary shoot-at-sight orders, to amend Section 11 of Indian Forest Act, which gives discretionary power to the principal chief conservator of forest to issue shoot-at-sight orders to eliminate Schedule 1 animals like tigers. We also pointed out that there needs to be amendment made in the National Tiger Conservation Authority's protocols and standard operating procedures. We got humongous support and thousands of citizens supported this project, Speak Up Now. Subsequently, I made a video on electrocution and how painful the death is when a tiger is electrocuted. The Times of India media group gave me a title as being the voice for the voiceless. About 6 months to 1 year later, another tiger living in the fragmented forest of Maharashtra was labelled as a man-eater, and another shoot-at-sight order was issued to eliminate her. This was tigress T1. But tigress T1 was also a mother to 2 young cubs. I felt like deja vu and saw that what happened with tigress Kismat is repeating with tigress T1. So I challenged this order in the Honorable Bombay High Court of Nagpur bench, and the first shoot-at-sight order was set aside. For almost 7 months, there were no chance encounters, no man-animal conflict. But after 7 months, a second shoot-at-sight order was issued to eliminate tigress T1. I named this tigress Avni, which means Mother Earth, after my father, Dr. Avinash Banait. The second shoot-at-sight order, which was issued to eliminate tigress Avni, was upheld by the Honorable Bombay High Court. So I challenged it in the Honorable Supreme Court with my team of lawyers, Advocate Anand Grover, Mr. Salman Khurshid, Ms. Astha Sharma, and Mr. Prastut Dalvi. The case was heard in the Honorable Supreme Court, which gave its verdict that the cubs of tigress Avni be tranquilized and relocated. Then all attempts should be made to tranquilize Avni. And if these attempts fail, to prevent further loss of human beings, she can be shot dead. But the point was that all attempts have to be made to try and tranquilize Avni first. And if these are exhausted, then and only then can she be shot dead. Post which, tigress Avni's rescue operation had stepped up with more than 150 officers, a tranquilizing team, a tracking team, a hunting team with elephants, jeeps, and a lot of other infrastructure were trying to find her inside the jungle, and they were moving on feet day in and even at night inside the forest. But she was not traceable. Had she been a real man-eater, there would have been another chance encounter or some incidences. But this time I realized I need to generate awareness of tigress Avni and her 2 young cubs in the common citizens of India's minds. I organized a protest in my city of Nagpur, and we got great support from the common citizens. Thereafter, we started organizing these protests across the country. They happened in all major cities of India, from Delhi to Bangalore, from Mumbai to Kolkata. And these protests not only were limited to India, but they started spreading like a wildfire across the borders. These protests happened in New York City of United States of America, in Manchester in United Kingdom, Perth in Australia, Christchurch in New Zealand, Durban in South Africa, Toronto in Canada, Belgium, Nepal, and many other countries. A lot of support started pouring in from Bollywood celebrities to cricketers and even politicians. We were getting global support to bring justice for tigress Avni and her 2 young cubs. About 157 international organizations extended their support for tigress Avni. We organized a global protest which happened in almost 33 cities, 11 countries, and 5 continents on the same day with the same theme to bring justice for Avni. Unfortunately, tigress Avni was shot dead by private hunters in the middle of the night in cold blood. There were many illegalities in the standard operating procedures and the protocols set by the National Tiger Conservation Authority. Any operation, rescue operation or tranquilizing operation, cannot be done after sunset. These operations can only be done from sunrise to sundown. Hence, I have filed another criminal public interest litigation through Advocate Srirang Bhandarkar in the Honorable Bombay High Court of Nagpur bench to fix the accountability and the responsibility of the individuals involved in Avni case. Post my legal battle and the global protests in the year 2020, the protocols and the standard operating procedures of National Tiger Conservation Authority, which comes under Ministry of Environment and Forest of the Union Government, were changed. Now no tiger can be labelled as a man-eater, and the private hunters cannot be involved in any man-animal conflict situation in the entire country. I would like to mention that even the Bollywood movie Sherni, which has Miss Vidya Balan featuring in it, also covers most of the story of Avni. During the conflict time, I, along with the help of few NGOs or non-governmental organizations, we distributed fodder for the cattle. We did stall feeding so that the villagers who have cattle should not go inside the forest where the conflict zone is happening. This will prevent their and also their cattle's man-animal conflict, and their lives would not be risked just to feed their own cattle. We also donated solar water pumps in the fragmented forests of Maharashtra deep inside the jungles, so that these solar water pumps become a perennial source of water for the wild animals. And the wild animals would not move outside the forest in search of water, which will drastically reduce the man-animal conflict. We as a family keep adopting villages which are on the fringes of forest and away from primary healthcare centers and are remotely located. We take care of their medical aspects and provide them medicines free of cost. We have also adopted the Mahawats and the Charakatas of the elephants which are in Pench National Tiger Reserve of Madhya Pradesh. We take care of their medical aspects because these elephants are used for tranquilization and rescue operations of all the wild animals which have gone stray. These elephants were also involved in the Avni's case. I have also taken up matters for healthcare workers which require attention and judicial intervention. During the last lockdown, when the entire country came to a standstill, the fate of 1.3 billion Indian citizens laid on the able shoulders of the medical fraternity. The need of the hour was to keep the doctors and the healthcare workers safe, for them to be able to deliver the medical facilities for the citizens of the country. What was required was personal protective equipments, that is the mask, gowns, headgear, but that was not available in the remote parts of the country, and the doctors and the healthcare workers were using makeshift PPE kits from raincoats or other materials. So I filed a public interest litigation in the Honorable Supreme Court praying for personal protective equipments for all healthcare workers in the country. My prayer was approved, and the Honorable Supreme Court directed the Health Ministry to provide World Health Organization's standardized personal protective equipments for all the healthcare workers across the country, in 28 states and all union territories, even in tier 1, 2 and 3 cities as well. The export of PPE kits was stopped and the local manufacturers were boosted to produce PPE kits. Subsequently, there were some cases being reported from across the country about violence or assaults happening on healthcare workers and the doctors who were going inside the society for contact tracing of COVID-19 patients. Looking at the situation, I filed another public interest litigation in the Honorable Apex Court of India requesting for police protection for healthcare workers. My plea was again accepted and the Honorable Supreme Court directed the authorities to provide police protection for all healthcare workers and that the action should be taken if there is any assaults on healthcare workers. Now, if there is any assault on healthcare workers, the accused can be sent to jail for almost 7 years and a fine of rupees 5 lakhs can be imposed. And looking at the urgency of the matter, Honorable President of India passed an ordinance in the 123-year-old Epidemic Act of 1897. This ordinance was approved and there has been an amendment in the Epidemic Act of 1897 giving police protection to all the healthcare workers. I have also helped a lot of healthcare workers and doctors to file cases to fight for their own rights and justice. I have filed multiple public interest litigations and I have brought a couple of national policy changes. Doing all these things, I have never let other people's perception bother me. I have stood strong for what I believe in. The leap from being a common bystander to taking an initiative to fight for what is correct and our rights has been overwhelming. And I promise myself to be strong and strive hard for a brighter, better and a promising future for our humanity. God bless the world. God bless India. Jai Hind.